Banks are absolutely terrified of Ripple and Circle becoming national charter banks. The reason is their technology reigns supreme over the SWIFT system. It can replace basically everything that your bank is doing today. They can do it better, more cheaply, and instantaneously, which means there's fear right now in the market when it comes to Ripple getting a banking license. We're going to take a look at some new data here by Paul Barron and really give you the whole context of what's going on here. Also, Chad Steingraber posted this about FIS Circle and RippleNet, that FIS transactions will be using USDC, but on the XRP ledger. I went and looked at this down this rabbit hole a little deeper, and I'll give you all of the facts regarding that. I also have a ton of other XRP information towards the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So here's Paul Barron. Ripple has banks on the ropes. BPI has just attempted to block Ripple's banking license, XRP RLUSD. Let's remember who BPI represents, an industry lobbying group. BPI represents 42 of the largest US banks and acts as their policy advocate and lobbying organization. Now, if you're getting paid by the biggest 42 largest banks in America, obviously there's a financial incentive here to stop this at all costs. Because if these banks, let's even just say a few of them fail, or they can't give maybe as much money to the lobbying company, this lobbying company could be out of a lot of money. So they're going to do everything that they possibly can right now to stop this from happening. And it's kind of sad, right? Because this would help give our banks the technology so we could save money. That's what they're not interested in, you and I saving money, because they make billions of dollars a year off of charging us fees to move our own money around the planet. Using Ripple's technology, all of this could be done for fractions of a penny, and this is what they're most afraid of. BPI argues that the public only had 2.5 weeks to review Ripple's application from July 16th to August 4th, which is inadequate for such a novel banking application involving cryptocurrency activities. Regulatory uncertainty. The pushback suggests that the traditional banking industry views Ripple's crypto banking hybrid model as potential problematic, which could influence the OCC's decision making. And the BPI's board is Jamie Dimon. Interesting. Very interesting. Brian Monahan from Bank of America and Charles Scharf from Wells Fargo. Interesting to see out of these three, two of them, right? Bank of America and Wells Fargo are Ripple customers. Also, others include Citibank, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, BNY Mellon, PNC Bank, State Street, Truist, and US Bank. All banks that have a lot to lose if Ripple's technology is in fact adopted. I mean, they have a lot to lose, but they also have so much to gain. I think they can still remain hugely profitable by allowing, let's say a bank normally would charge $50 for a transaction. The internal cost of that transaction could be, $10, $25. We just don't know. They don't really have those details. But if they use Ripple's technology, they could bring that all the way down to like $5. They could still pay Ripple or like to use the service, the XRP ledger, a half a cent or a penny, and they would still have all of that profit imaginable. So I would really like to get some details of what actually these banks pay to use some of these rails. Remember, some of these banks get paid by other banks to use their rails. And some of these banks, obviously, I'm going to look into that. What happened? Ripple, a leading cryptocurrency company, payments company, and the issuer of the XRP Ledger cryptocurrency and RLUSD applied for a U.S. national banking license with the Office of Comptroller of Currency in July 2025. This move is part of a wider ambition to become a regulated, federally regulated digital-first bank and strengthen regulatory oversights over a stablecoin RLUSD. BPI, the Bank Policy Institute, we already just went through all of that, so we don't need to give you all that too. The pushback, BPI and other major banking groups, including the American Banking Association and similar organizations, submitted public comment letters urging the OCC to delay or deny the approval. So it's like multiple bigger institutions right now moving forward, trying to block Ripple and Circle. It's pretty crazy, but I mean, we had to have known this was coming, right? Like we saw this writing on the wall. As soon as Ripple applied for this, I knew there was going to be some pushback. Now, I'd imagine there's going to be even more than this, but I will give you all the updates when I see it. Short public review period. BPI and partners argue that 2.5 weeks is short. Normally, this is about 4 months. So it is interesting to see this happening in 2.5 weeks. Do you think Ripple's banking license would be approved that quick? It would be very out of the ordinary to get this done this quickly. So we'll have to see what the OCC decides to do. They could sit on this application for months if they chose to, or they can just deny it outright. So it'll be interesting how it plays out. Traditional banks claim public parts of Ripple's application lack adequate detail about its business plan, and the implications for the banking system are not fully disclosed or discussed. They warn of potential regulatory gaps in digital asset firms are approved under reduced oversight or new rules. Interesting. Why are banks opposed? Protecting traditional banking. Ripple aims to bypass established correspondent banking networks like SWIFT and offer near instant global settlements using blockchain, which would threaten the business models of legacy banks. There it is. Regulatory gaps. There's a concern that Ripple, if they are granted a national banking charter without traditional fiduciary activity as required by law, many more crypto firms could flood in. That could be a huge problem. I mean, imagine a bad actor in the crypto space like Tether getting a national banking license in the United States. Could you imagine? Oh no. Okay, hopefully not. Lobbying power, BPI, and its allies are leveraging extensive lobbying resources. BPI alone spent $1.3 million on lobbying in 2025. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, though. We don't really need to go through the regulatory landscape. If you want to read all this, you can. Of course, Genius Act passed recently. We're waiting for some more information about the Clarity Act, which is digital asset regulation. That really shows, hey, this asset belongs to the CFTC oversight, or this asset is a security and it belongs to the SEC oversight. Okay, so Chad Steingraber posted this image. A lot of information here, but I threw it into Perplexity, so it's a little bit easier to go through here. It's the context and partnership between Ripple and FIS centers on leveraging RippleNet and the XRP ledger for cross-border payments, emphasizing improved transaction speed, transparency, liquidity, and settlement, enabling faster, cheaper international payments, and supporting real-time visibility on fees and exchange rates. Imagine knowing how much your payment is going to cost before you send it. Is that so crazy to think in 2025? Right? That's the issue here. You're sending an international payment. You're not going to know how much fees that you need to pay until that payment actually arrives. That is crazy business. These measures target cost reduction, greater efficiency, and now service opportunities for banks and their customers, as highlighted by the image. Regarding the USDC, there is clear, verifiable evidence that FIS has also partnered with Circle to allow U.S. financial institutions to offer USDC stablecoin payment options. USDC is now available natively on the XRP ledger. In other words, USDC is issued directly on the XRP ledger, not as synthetic or a bridge token, and Circle Mint and its API support this development. The partnership, announced in June 2025, explained that Ripple and Circle jointly brought USDC to the XRP ledger, aiming to expand XRPL's stablecoin utility and real-world applications, including bank settlement, payments, and remittances. Several independent sources confirm that USDC can be used natively on the XRP ledger by institutions, businesses, and users, and FIS's integration with Circle is designed to give banks rapid access to these USDC payment rails. There is no indication that FIS partnership relies on any other blockchain for USDC, offering documents consistently cite the XRP ledger as the underlying network for this capability. So that's really good. In summary, FIS has partnered with Ripple to use RippleNet and the XRP ledger for efficient cross-border payments. FIS has separately partnered with Circle to enable U.S. financial institutions to offer USDC payments. USDC is now issued natively on the XRP ledger. Ripple and Circle confirming this integration. Financial institutions leveraging FIS's platform can now offer USDC and the XRP ledger to their customers, verifying that the USDC offering referenced in the partnerships is indeed the XRP ledger. Now, I did want to show you how much money FIS does move. FIS stands for Fidelity National Information Service. It's a major global provider of financial technology solutions. Its importance comes from the fact that it powers critical banking infrastructure and payment networks for vast portion of the world's financial institutions. Here's why it's significant. Core banking backbone, global reach, payments and treasury services, innovation and security, and of course, scale and reliability. FIS ensures high volume 24/7 availability, handling transactions worth trillions every single year. It does look that they move about $3.7 trillion in 365 days. So this is another solution that can use these technologies to move value. Just imagine if you had Hidden Road and FIS all using the XRP ledger, 3.5 trillion, 3.7 trillion. This stuff starts to add up if you understand what I'm talking about here. We can get to 10 trillion, $20 trillion before you know it, right? If you get a few of these institutions to really start using it full time, whoo, we are good. There is some insider scoop. my source. So this is Fusion Gigamesh, and Fusion Gigamesh has 134 followers. So I don't know who their source is, but just take it a little grain of salt there. My source deep within the crypto underworld. Man, people are crazy. Just spilled the tea. Oh, I love that. They're buying up Flare like crazy OTC. Big institutional players are prepping for massive partnership announcement with Ripple and Centaura. This $25 million investment is just the tip of the iceberg. My insider says that the OTC desks are buzzing 24/7 and the price is being suppressed until the big reveal. Now, this could be real or this could be not, guys. There's no really where I can't verify his insider. You know, there are people with small followings on X that are well connected. So I don't want to get into this. We talk about Flare all the time in the live chats. We've been talking about it since like a penny and a half, right? Right now, Flare coin market cap. Let's see, Flare currently is still 2.4 cents. Opportunity to some. And then of course, Ripple's involved with Flare again. Ripple invested in Centaura, the team behind Firelight Fi, who provided XRP yield built on Flare networks. Are you bullish on Flare or what? Ripple, Flare networks. And I also wanted to look into Rosie Rios. She says that the train has left the station more times than anybody I've ever seen. She is on the Ripple board. She was the treasurer of the United States. I just want to dig into this briefly with you guys here.
You know, what 4 months make in terms of giving that green light for innovation to actually happen. You're going to hear me say a lot, the train has left the station. So, you know, thank you. Bitcoin is here to stay. Blockchain is here to stay.
I don't need to get into all the rest of this video, but what does she mean by the train has left the station? When Rosie Rios, the former US treasurer and Ripple board member, says the train has left the station, she's emphasizing that the adoption of blockchain technology, particularly solutions like Ripple and XRP, is already underway and essentially inevitable. This phase means that the momentum toward the integration of digital assets and blockchain in the financial sector is now past the point of reversal, and that the remaining on the sidelines is no longer a viable option for who want to participate. Rios also reportedly used this analogy in public statements. She clarifies that blockchain and extension Ripple and XRP are here to stay, highlighting the technology use in global finance and payments is not speculative, but practical and already being implemented. When Rios uses this phrase, she is urging institutions and individuals to acknowledge that major changes in the finance are in progress and that they must either catch up or risk being left behind. Her advocacy also extends beyond the inevitability of change. Rios stresses that the XRP serves as a real-world function by enabling faster, cheaper cross-border payments, solving tangible issues in the current financial system. When you have the former treasurer of the United States basically telling you that this is, you know, the train has left the station, that this is, you need to either get in or get out or get left behind, it's kind of, you know, something that people should be paying attention to. Rosie Rios had the opportunity to go work for any company. She had one of the biggest jobs in all of the world, to be in control of the treasurer of the United States. There's money all over. There's trillions of dollars with her name on it. So when she speaks up, people should listen. All right, I'll leave it there. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here. Crypto Sensei. Aloha. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.